Hi folks, today I have for us a new Frauditor to take a look at to the channel, Miss Chrissy Pissy. She goes to a park's amphitheater after being told to leave, refuses to, and ends up getting arrested. But before we start today's video, as always, a big thank you to all of my current and new channel members and subscribers. Without all of your support, I couldn't keep this channel going, so I thank you all personally from the bottom of my heart. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the page. Leave a like and a comment because it helps me with the algorithm. Don't forget to check out my second channel, NCR Movie Network, and the podcast, the Craptown Florida Man Power Ranking Podcast. Episode 22 is out right now. With all that being
It's my understanding this gentleman's asked you to leave. Is that a problem?
I don't think I have to, right? I don't think I have to because I'm outside on public property that's open to the public. It's a public park. I'm part of the public. Seems like I shouldn't have to leave. A person has the right to stand their ground, even in the face of tyranny. So if I have the right to be there and someone is demanding that an officer remove me, the officer doesn't have the right to remove me if I have the right to be there. In this case, I have the right to be there.
now, that's not necessarily true. Yes, furs do have the notion that just because a place is publicly owned or operated by the government, that they have the right to be there. That's not always true. Yes, the park is open from 5 a.m. to 12 midnight. However, but part of the park she's gone to is an amphitheater that is got fencing around it and is not open to the public at this time. She was asked to leave by somebody with the authority from the amphitheater, and she refused to, calling the cops to have her removed, which would be legal in the state of Florida and almost every other state in this country.
It's open till 12 and it's 7:25 at night. It's the amphitheater part of the park. It's new. The city held its grand opening for the $84 million project on June 28, 2023. If the city builds a really nice amphitheater and spends a lot of money on it, does that mean that they can take it from the people, make it private, and exclude the public? The answer to that is no. And if they do that, it's embezzlement.
Shenanigans.
Na 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 na
Shenanigans.
na 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 na.
And we're calling shenanigans, folks, because this is not embezzlement, this is not fraud, breach of contract, theft, or etc. Yes, the amphitheater is owned by the public and it is a part of this public park. However, it does not mean it can't be rented out to private benefactors. So Ruth Ecker Hall and Baycare Sound wish to rent it out for an event, they can do so. If they wish to rent it out for a summer concert series, as long as they are paying the rental fees to do so and providing their own maintenance and their own cleaning crews, it is allowed. They're even allowed to put up temporary fencing to secure the property. Now, if this particular new frauditor does not like that, that's her problem because it's not against the law for them to do it.
Basically, this police officer needs to tell the man who is harassing me that harassment is illegal in the state of Florida and that if he does not leave me alone, the officer will need to cite him for the harassment since I have not done anything wrong and I have a legal right to be there. This officer is...
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
not a bouncer. This is not private property. This is public property, and that man is harassing me. The only job a police officer has is to enforce the law, to protect citizens. Well, a citizen's being harassed by a government employee, and it is the officer's job to tell that man to stop.
Yeah, you do have to.
Based on what?
Based on this being private property.
Public property is not private property. It's not. It's public.
Actually, no, she's wrong still, due to the fact that public property can be treated as private property, even though it is owned and operated by the government. The 1976 case of Greer v. Spock saw to that, plus countless other U.S. Supreme Court cases. Not to mention, there are local and state cases that can back it up as well. But let's see how she wants to play this.
actually.
not.
It is public. It's owned by the city. It's owned
That
by
doesn't mean
the
it's
park.
that doesn't mean it's open to the public, especially
Actually,
right now.
Why not right now? It was 7:25 p.m. The park closed at midnight. Right then was the perfect time to enjoy the park.
It's part of the park, which is why it's open to the public even right now.
Not this area. This area is clearly fenced in.
The fence is an illegally erected temporary fence. Baker Sound had no legal right to erect this fence. It is as if I had gone in and put up a fence and said, "This is my property, get out." I don't have the right to do that, just as Baycare Sound doesn't have the right to do that.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
This property belongs to the people. Baycare Sound is breaking the law. They're trying to steal this land from the people. Taxpayers spent $84 million so the people could enjoy their park. This is an attempted theft of public property. On private land, you can ask anyone, as long as you have the authority, to leave, and they have to. Like at your house, they can't stay. But this is public land. Public money purchased this land for the purpose of the public, which means that you have the right to be there, and there has to be a legitimate reason to ask you to leave. Not because someone's just saying, "I want you to leave." And not because
Shenanigans.
No, 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 no.
Shenanigans.
No, 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 no.
And we're calling shenanigans yet again. Now, there are two things I want to draw on for her shenanigans. The first off is the fencing. Yes, if Baycare Sound or Ruth Ecker Hall are renting the space, they can actually put up temporary fencing. If there is going to be an event that they need to set up, they can set up temporary fencing. That is not illegal. And it is not violating anybody's rights or access to the property because they are setting up for an event. Secondly, she is wrong. She can be asked to leave from public property. She can be trespassed from public property because there are tons of U.S. Supreme Court cases that back up the rights that the government has the same property rights as private owners. And especially if she's not there for any legitimate business. She's not there to attend a concert, and she's not an employee. So why is she there after hours?
because someone is trying to dupe you into believing that you don't have the right to be there. That's an act of fraud.
The fence was open so that you could get in. And I've worked here on several nights. The security guy knows that I come here and work, and it's never been an issue.
It turns out the security guard actually has no authority in Coachman Park. It appears he's just bored and walks over to the park pretending to have legal authority.
Dumbass!
I understand that. It might have been okay in the past. Can I see your ID real quick?
I don't have to show it to you, and why?
If you leave right now, you don't have to show it to me. He's asked you to leave, so technically
He doesn't
you've already...
have the authority.
He does.
I run the building.
He does not run the building according to the contract between Ruth Eckert Hall, Baycare Sound, and the city of Clearwater, which means that he's lying to the cops, which is an act of fraud, and he's misrepresenting the facts to harm me. It's also
No, they didn't.
a breach of contract. An agent or contractor may not act outside their contractual agreement. So then, technically speaking, wasn't Mark Burton Usop just breaking into and entering this building, since he doesn't have the legal authority, contractually speaking, to be inside the building unless if it's 3 hours before the event and until it's closed? There was no event going on at this time, which means that the property had reverted back to Parks and Recs and under the care and supervision of Parks and Recs. To be perfectly clear, Parks and Recs does not have the legal authority to allow Ruth Eckert Hall and Baycare Sound to use the building, even the inside of the building, outside of the 3 hours before before an event begins until it closes, because that would be in violation of Florida statute 112.3136, which says that a public official may not use their position to benefit themselves or another. And if Parks and Recs allowed Ruth Eckerd Hall and or Baycare Sound to use the inside of this building during times outside of when Ruth Eckerd Hall and Baycare Sound have a contractual agreement to let them in the building, then it would be Parks and Recs giving a benefit to another. And they don't work for Ruth Eckerd Hall or Baycare Sound.
And do you work for Parks and Rec? Do you work for Ruth Eckerd Hall, Baycare Sound? No, you don't. So you don't actually know what the contracts stipulate. You don't know what their policies technically are. Now, the statute you brought up was for, getting favors from government officials for their own personal benefits. Now, if Parks and Rec and Baycare Sound and Ruth Eckerd Hall have an agreement and they have it leased out to somebody else, they can actually have their own management team. Their own management team can take care of the building under certain parts of the contract. Now, perhaps they are getting ready for a show. Perhaps they're just taking care of some clerical things. But just the fact that you think this is somehow a violation of your civil rights because they're telling you you're not allowed to be there and they need to leave the property is misinformed. You are just so wrong, young lady.
They work for the people. And so the only people they work to benefit are the people.
He does have the authority.
I thought you said you were the tech guy. That sounds right.
I'm the technical director. I run the building.
You don't need to be aggressive with me.
I'm getting aggressive.
He doesn't need to get aggressive, and he's saying he's getting he just said I'm getting aggressive.
Okay.
He's not getting
He
aggressive.
is, but he's not supposed to.
Will you listen to me?
We might need to call your
listen
supervisor.
Very carefully to what I'm saying. He has warned you. I'm recording too. It's okay.
Braniff, Braniff.
Yes, ma'am. He has asked you to leave already.
3 times.
Right.
That's a warning. So you've already been warned, and you're still here. You can be arrested for that. I don't want to have to arrest
This is
you.
public property. This guy's threatening me. Would you please call your supervisor? Would you mind doing that?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you very much. Let's do that now. Say it again.
This is not public property.
It's public property. You're mistaken.
Hey,
No.
sir. Can
You are
can
mistaken.
see if the other unit's
Thank you
there?
very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry.
The only one mistaken is you, because you can be arrested here. You can be charged with trespassing after warning and face a misdemeanor offense. Just because it is public property and owned by the government does not mean you have carte blanche to do whatever you want. If you go there after hours, you can be trespassed. If you go to the amphitheater when there is not a show and you're not authorized to be there and they have warned you 3 times to leave, you are subject to being arrested.
Sorry we're having this disagreement or this
okay.
a difference of opinion on
It's
it.
okay.
I know it is public property. I know that if you look it up, you'll see that it's public property.
No.
This is closed. You can tell it has a lock on it, not going in, kind of like the library, right? But this isn't. And there's a
So
huge
if the library's
difference
doors
there.
are locked, if the library's doors are locked and you go inside and you refuse to leave, is that trespassing in your mind?
See, this isn't locked. This
That's
isn't
not what I asked
inside.
you. That's not what I
You're not
asked you.
comparing apples to apples. You're comparing apples
Sir,
to orange.
Sir, I got it.
Thank you. So this isn't like that because this is part of a public park that's open until midnight. So there's a huge difference there. This is outside. I'm not like going into a closed place, right? This is open and there's nothing that says they can't be here. We know it's part of the park.
Except for the fencing around the area, the fact that the building is closed, the fact that you really don't have the authority to be there. Yeah, it's starting to sound like you're wrong yet again.
We legitimately
Listen,
know that. Amphitheaters and other parts of the
Okay, it's time for
state.
you to listen. I've been listening now. It's time for you to listen. It's very important
Hey,
that you do
how
what I
are
tell
ya?
you, okay? It's very important that you follow commands.
The sound has been removed here. It looks like the cops hacked in and removed it. Yes, they can technically do that. No.
Are you like a crazy person?
It's not legal. They likely used a program similar to Stingray, which is an older version of what many cops use now. The newer version that's used is called Nexel. I'm sure there are other versions as well. There was no warning. The cop grabbed my phone, put my hands behind my back, handcuffed me, and arrested me, which would be obvious if the sound had not been deleted. I ended up spending the night in jail. The problem was not that I refused to leave a public place where I had the right to be. The problem was that I was being harassed and arrested without cause. While in jail, I was told I was being processed for release, that they were removing the charges. When I called the prosecutor's office to confirm the charges had been dropped, I was told they would only prosecute if I pressed charges, which is totally illegal. A prosecutor may not use the office as a weapon against citizens, just like a contractor cannot steal land from the people. According to the United States Supreme Court, an illegal arrest.
And we're ending the video here. Yes, the video does continue on for a bit more where she plugs her channel and her buy me a cup of coffee. She was arrested and the charges were dropped, but her claims of them pushing the charges if she tried to prosecute was just, well, ridiculous. And the claims that the cops deleted the audio from her phone is even more conspiracy theory nonsense. So if you guys like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up and a comment because it helps me with the algorithm. Don't forget to check out my second channel and the podcast. With all that being said, be well, be safe, and a special thank you to all members of the news team. Without all of your support, I couldn't keep the channel going. So I want to thank you all personally from the bottom of my heart. You guys mean the world to me, and I can never thank you enough.